Hello, I'm Oral Gibbs, and welcome to Oral Gibbs Live. I have a very, very interesting guest. The first time he appeared in this program was back in 1984, a long time ago. My guest today is Dr. Michel Petit. Thank you.
Hi, Eugene.
How are you doing, Doctor?
I'm fine.
Well,
Thanks
good.
for having me on your show, by the way.
Good
I
to
always
have you.
appreciate coming here.
Good to have you back in the program after
Thank you.
so many years. No, you are a very remarkable St. Martiner.
Thanks for the compliment.
A St. Martiner that is well loved by his people, and it's just good to have you here. Before we started, I was telling you about the first interview I did with you in 1984.
Yes, that's what you told me.
He was a gynecologist, obstetrician.
Just started the year. This is my second year.
And you did a great job encouraging women to have pap smears. And
Okay.
That was a long time ago.
Mhm.
So how are things going with you now?
Great. No, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It's going very well.
Couldn't be better.
It couldn't be better.
Yeah. So what made you decide to join a political party and contest the elections in French St. Martin?
Well, I was invited to join many parties over the years, and even to become a Dutch citizen so I could run on the Dutch side. And I didn't want to, for the simple reason is that for me, my job was number one then. And if you just, saying how people love me, it's because of my dedication in my job as a doctor. But in 1920, because of the COVID situation, and
I mean 2020.
2020,
Yeah.
I couldn't go Anguilla anymore. But nevertheless, this was the year I wanted to stop practicing medicine. So the COVID just made it a little faster for me to make up my mind. It wasn't possible to go over to Anguilla. So that's it. My medical career was over. And then, you wouldn't believe it, suddenly, hearing about the affairs of St. Martin and seeing that nothing much was going on, in a split of a second, the people who were around me, we had a conversation, and the political issue and the difficulties of the island, was part of the conversation. And I said, you know what? If this is the case, and I could witness that some of the things that was mentioned was a reality, I just told my friends around me, and they would attest to that. I said, you know something? Maybe I'm going to just join politics. Now, everyone there had asked me the questions many, many months to many years before, and I said no. And then suddenly that day, I said, you know something? I'm going to go in this race, and I'm going to call Lulu to see if they'll be willing to, for me to join their parties. I can't impose myself. So I did meet him, and obviously the party was already structured in a way, and I was a last comer. So he said he's going to meet with the party and get back to me. So I said, okay, fine. After about 2 weeks not getting any answer, I said, well, maybe I'm a hot potato and I might not be the person, that I thought I could be to help them. And I just was going to call him and tell him that, if it's causing a problem in the party, that, fine, I'll move on. He said, no, to the contrary, what happened, he told me, is that they were having some internal issues at that time. And I could mention, because it's past, because when I joined, my intention was to join a party, they had both Billy D and Jules Charville on that slate. So I said, I should be there among them because we are there too. And there was the time that association with Billy D and Jules didn't work out, and that's what kept my... so when I finally was accepted at the first meeting and officially joined that party, both Billy D and Jules Charville were no longer part of the team, and that's what kept my candidacy from not being considered earlier. But nevertheless, when I joined the party, I was welcome and got in the midst of things. And right now, I didn't, at that time, I had no idea. I know politics because my father was a mayor, but I didn't know the structure, how it's put together. When you have a big group, the difference in characters and things like that, for the millionaires to catch, it's a big challenge. But we got it, we put it together, and we won the election, obviously.
So you went on RSM.
Well, you know the French system, if you don't get 50% of the votes plus one
Right.
on the first round, you have to go to a second round. So the first party I joined was RSM, Rassemblement Saint-Martinois. That means Saint Martinois getting together. There's no word, a get-together of Saint Martin people. But you know, there was an issue, who is Saint Martinois? You know, they're saying yes, but at that time you have to realize that the Lulu, Alain, all those politicians, including my father, long ago, they had a anti-metropolitan, how you say that, reputation. So they were scared that this Saint Martin was going to become an issue. But if somebody's on the electoral list, not going into just being inscribed in voting for Saint Martin, you're a Saint Martin just by the fact that you're voting. No, I'm not going into the issue, families and ties and stuff like that. Just the fact, the basic legal aspect. So we said, no, it's going to work out because Albert Party was the same thing to, I think, Unité Saint-Martinoise or anything, and that worked out good. But, you know, the reputation of the leaders that I'm with there now was causing a problem. So that was the first party. We won the first two, and there was a coalition of other parties that went against us. So in fact, we joined with Alternative, which is a party was led by, the leader was Valérie Damaso, the former first vice president with Gibbs, and so we won the second round too. So we are now in a very large majority, and the opposition have I think 6 or 7 seats. Can't recall exactly, but it's a comfortable majority.
Yeah, and when you look at the politics, because your father was a mayor for how long?
18 years,
Yeah.
short of a month or two.
And he was a mayor that worked closely with our side, the Dutch side with Claude Waddy. They started the whole Saint Martin Day event.
Yes,
and
the cooperation at that time was good,
Very
and
good.
that's the basis of Saint Martin, the spirit, the idea of Saint Martin Day for Saint Martin people. That was done in 1959.
Now, you're also now a vice president for what, social affairs, somewhere like that?
Vice President of Social Affairs. You see, it's similar. The way it was on the Dutch side, you have a executive council and a legislative council. We don't have a parliament, but we have it like it was on the Dutch side before.
Oh.
Executive council and island council.
Right. So how's it been for you so far now?
Me, I'm enjoying it because this is very complex. It's a lot of work. If you do not enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to be able to do it. It's a lot of work, and you have to deliver. And the problems are humongous on the French side. I'm going to tell you something now that you probably don't know. Saint Martin is from the bottom, the third poorest country in French territories.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
The third.
You shocked me there.
You have Mayotte, Guyana, French Guyana, and Saint Martin.
It never used to be like that.
It was like that for quite a while, but it got worse. So we have a deteriorated collectivity country, and we are going to bring it back. It got to move from there. When we finish our 5 years, we're going up a few notches, for sure. Even right now, as just before coming here, we were in a big island council meeting, but not the island councillors were invited. We were meeting the president of the region, Guadeloupe, and we just signed some agreements. We are going to start right here now in September, a school for nurses aid and nurses, because the hospital is in a mess. They have, the turnover of nurses is incredible. 6 months, a year maximum, and practically no Saint Martiners. We are going to have our school starting in September. We are going to be asking for an approval because the French government have to give you an approval. We are asking for 20 nurses and 20 nurses aid, and obviously for ambulance workers and stuff like that, but basically. And so we have everything set up, and the region of Guadeloupe is helping us with that. It's not going to be like a few questions were asked by the press. Is it going to be like a cheap type of, school? No. It is going to be a full-fledged, authorized by the French government to, educate and form nurses, 20 of them, and 20 nurses aid, and we're starting in September.
That's a very good idea.
Because the hospital, and I always said so, there's nobody that's going to take care, and it was valid for me. In the hospital on the southern side had doctors who used to come and go in a big turnover too. There's nobody could take care of St. Martin's, being sick St. Martin's, better than St. Martin's themselves. You care, not that you don't care for the others, but their family, and you have an obligation to deliver. You can't do things bad. You can't run. You can't hide. Right. You got to do it. And that's why my success came, because I was there for everybody, but I was there all the time. I worked almost 29 years on the Dutch side. So that's why you call when you're involved in, in a career to help. But when you have nurses and nurses aid that don't stay a year or just over a year, it's not possible. And first of all, most of them do not speak the language.
Yeah.
But beyond the language, it's our way of living. Here I'm making a significant effort to speak English. But if you hear me outside of this setting, I'm speaking like the way St. Martin people speak, so I could understand them and they understand me.
Yeah.
So we're doing this. We are opening in September too a university on the French side, but it's going to be implemented slowly. We are going to give 4 courses using the existing high schools, because to put together the strategy for full university is going to take us an extra year. So the full university is going to be implemented on the island. There's a University of the Antilles-Guyane, and they're going to be with Saint Martin in it. That's going to go for 2024. But right now in September, we're going to have 4 courses. It's going to be in the evening. School ends at 5, from 6 to 9. We're going to have 4 different subjects that are going to be, proposed to St. Martin young people. They're going to have a course to upgrade civil servants. This is a big thing. And to upgrade civil servants too, we are renting a property in Marigot to have continuous education and specific subjects where they have to improve on their skills. This is going to go on all year long. Why I'm enjoying it? Because we are doing a lot. Yeah. We're doing really a lot. You could notice a certain amount of things that was done already. But talking about this, you had the former president on your show, and he said that, I didn't hear him, but I'm repeating, so correct me if I'm wrong. He said that we are doing everything that he had, was planning to do. He started it. Well, planning to do and doing is 2 different things. But I'm going to give you an example. One of the sport parks in Marigot, the one in the center of Marigot, Pantopoul, he was going to do some changes. But we changed it because you have to know that in St. Martin, not one stadium is CONCACAF compatible. If you have to play a game that is part of an international competition, we have to go to Anguilla, French side and Dutch side. Right. And every time you go to Anguilla, it's between $15,000 and $20,000. So they were going to rebuild the Louis Van der Poel sports park. Yes, we are doing it, but they are going to do it the same old-fashioned way, with a non-CONCACAF characteristics for the surface to play on. So we canceled that project, and now that's why it's a little delayed. We had to re-engineer, get more money. They said yes, we'll be spending more money, but now we are going to get soon, I think this year, a stadium that is CONCACAF compatible, meaning an international game will be played there. Matter of fact, if their games are going to be played necessary for the team from the Dutch side, they will be able to come right instead of going Anguilla. Could you imagine Anguilla have a CONCACAF compatible stadium and the whole island didn't have one? Yeah. All the big stadiums. There's another one, Alberic Richards. We had a big project for that. I mean, with I just don't want to even go into detail because it's going to take up too much time. But that's going to be done. Matter of fact, we're closing in the land this year. They have a couple million of euros just to secure it, and then the work is going to go on later on. You're going to have a area in Grand Cars to play football, French Quarter, who we are working on already, and two in Marigot. I mean, we could go on and on and on with projects.
It seems like that statement by former President Daniel Gibbs in terms of he planted the seed or they planted the seed and now the harvest is being benefited.
No, he didn't plant the seed because he didn't water the seed like the president told him. I mean, could you tell me in 5 years, the harbor of Marigot, those old little restaurants they had, we had to bid, to create the bid just for the demolition. In 5 years, you couldn't even put towards a bid so he probably did it, but you have to realize is that, and the president said it, and it's all viral all over, one of his biggest defects is to put aside the civil servants, the local civil servants, bring in a lot, that caused the problem, bring in civil servants from France and everything. None of the project that he put together passed in the prefecture, had to organize one of their departments just to overlook getting funds from Europe or even from the French government. When we came into office, like the president said, we just opened up the closets, all the local boys. I have to say, this is my first time, but these St. Martin people are so competent. We are getting money, you would say here, we're getting money from Europe, right, left, and center. Money is coming in. Matter of fact, sometimes I replace the president when he has to sign the bidding, when the final. And I could remember in the executive council, Europe was offering 3 million euros or 2, but never a couple million, just to beautify the island. We applied for it. And like 3 or 4 months ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, the bid already went out, and who's going to beautify the island? They're going to have benches, they're going to have all around the boats going to be beautified, they're going to plant trees and everything. So it took us 6 months request to bid, and the work is going to go on. And we have to spend all that money in 1 year. So this is the speed we are reactive. These people that were put aside now are producing. There's no way you could have the civil servants against you, the French administration with the prefect fighting all day with them. How do you want to get things done for St. Martin? You cannot be in a fight all the time. You have to cooperate. They are the mother nation. So we are cooperating, not meaning we are giving up, but you have to cooperate. And our civil servants are just, delivering for us.
You mentioned earlier your father, and your father was always against metropolitan France.
Well, he wasn't against them. He was against the policy and the politics they were applying to us. And you can't stop them from coming over, but he was preaching for the St. Martin people not to release too much to them and give them too much power too fast.
But haven't that happened now?
No, that happened after, and now it's a complete takeover. But if you listen to the people on the street, like how we would say here, they feel better now. They know that they have responsible people who are going to, not that the others were not responsible, but it's in their way, and it wasn't working out. But St. Martin people have confidence in us. They know that we are going to protect the interests of St. Martin people.
When St. Martin people from this side, that side, go to the French side, and we all won as a people, families from both sides, you see so many metropolitans now doing menial work that normally St. Martin people would do.
That's a problem because we're going to change that. There are very few workers on the island that are qualified, but in small quantities. See, what we did, when there's a bid for a big project, let's say 50 million, one project with everything in it, electrician, it was given to one company. So no company in St. Martin could handle such a big job because the law requires that you have to come with some guarantee. So what we're doing now, we're splitting up the bids.
And that's permitted?
Yeah. We are putting it in different units.
Okay.
So that brings down the size of the market and allows local companies to be able to bid. So you're going to see a change. And what we're doing, we are doing I say that we're going to not teach, but educate the young people how to do jobs.
Yeah.
First of all, we're in final negotiation now. We're bringing in the Army, who has a unit to teach young people to do different things.
So they're going to be a base again on the French side?
They're going to be based on the French side. We're asking for 80 to 100 opportunities, and they're going to get, because right now, what's ahead coming for us is a lot of jobs. So if we don't have people locally, you have to bring in foreigners, because the job has to be done. So that's what we're doing. We're preparing ourselves.
Yeah.
That after a year and a half, the kid is capable of going out and getting a job.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's going to happen. Now we're in a final discussion with the French Army, the French government, and so far we're only getting green lights.
So they have already a property where they
Yes, they have a property. It's going to be in cul-de-sac, where they had an old school before.
Yeah. So things looking great.
Great. And I'm feeling good because, as a doctor, I was feeling good because I was solving people's health problem, and now I'm solving social problems in my area. We're going to rebuild a new old age home.
Really?
We're going to do a daycare center for elderlies for them. You take your parents in the morning, you go work, you come back, you pick them up in the afternoon. There's a lot of things in plans.
I saw there's some construction just above the hospital in Marigot.
That is a private clinic that is going to deal with hospital being a little small, limited amount of beds. When you're no longer in a critical situation to have to stay in the hospital, but you cannot go home, they're going to go to that clinic.
Oh, okay, but it will be private.
It's private, yes, obviously with an agreement with the state. But the hospital is going to go through an extension soon. It's supposed to, we're going to extend the hospital already a little bit, restructure. You have to know that health is not our portfolio of the collectivity, but we are still on the board. And there's a certain amount of things. The hospital have their issues, and I mentioned just now there's a turnover, not only of nurses, a turnover of doctors. So in the next meeting, I could announce it. We're going to question the hospital, or what are their plans for the hospital. I mean, you're getting an extension, and you have difficulty finding doctors, you have difficulty keeping nurses and finding nurses. Even the maintenance department, they have some issues. It's psychiatric care, we have a nice building. Getting a building, and that might apply to the Dutch side too. Having a building is not easy, but it's easier than making it work and work well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see how the hospital on the Dutch side is going to have quality care.
I gotta tell you, doctor, you delivered over 3 daughters. The second one is a medical doctor.
Oh, I know. You sent me a picture already. I think with Michel graduating.
So, it's a show. And what I want to come to here is that if you look at between 1995 and now, we have not produced that many doctors.
That is true.
Island.
That is true.
I don't know if you are aware of what's the cause there, because
it's very difficult to. I'm talking about the Dutch side.
Both sides.
Both sides. It's a lot of people are running away from becoming a doctor, and it's not easy to get into school. The French side there's no financial burden to register. It's just living abroad, but the school you have you call it a numerus clausus. That university is 1,000 doctors per year in the first year. So they're not going to take any more than that. Or if you do exceed, the first year going to knock you down, because even if you get your passing grade, they are limited to a certain amount, so they're going to cut you off at one point. So the entry into medical school in France, because of this limited amount, and it's causing a problem, because...
It's the same thing in Holland.
And a lot of people don't want to go in that, mostly in my specialty. it is a very difficult specialty. But coming back to the Dutch side, I haven't seen, in fact, no new ones. Yes, Gaston Beldato is probably the last one.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some young ones that are abroad, but I don't know. When is your daughter? She planning to come back here?
She's still in Holland. I would love for her to come back, but the way St. Martin is right now, and you know that too.
Yeah.
It's not easy when you're a St. Martiner.
I had to fight for all of them. First of all, I had to fight for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to fight for Dr. Marcelina to open an office outside. I had to fight for Randy Friday.
Yeah.
He got money from the government to become a doctor. He wants to come back home. You should almost put a red carpet for him to come back and show the others that, hey, go back and come back. But how do you want him to come back? Every time there's somebody from St. Martin that wants to come back, it's a fight. It's a big fight.
So I would love to see my daughter come back, but I don't.
Is she going to be a straight GP or she's going to go in a specialty?
Special.
What is she interested in?
Ophthalmology.
Well, the Dutch side could use that definitely.
They don't want it if you're one of us.
What?
Unfortunately, if you're one of us, they don't want it.
This is something you should help her.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be foreigner dependent.
Yeah. And also the French side have a need for ophthalmologists also.
No, French side have a big center. But eventually, I had the daughter of my first cousin that lives in Guadeloupe. She came here to do some, replace doctors, and after a while, she decided not to come here. And she's maybe a year or two older than your daughter.
And I know one or two of the doctors on the French side are going to retire soon. So
yes.
It's kind of tough for St. Martin.
But the doctors on the French side are decreasing the amount.
Yeah.
We don't have no. Let me see. I don't think we have any St. Martin doctors on the. Dr. Jeffrey in the hospital. Yeah. I think he's the last one. Yeah. There's no young ones that are about to come back that I know of.
Yeah. And it's a pity because
there was a time, yes.
Yeah.
But it slowed down or completely disappeared. I really don't know the reason.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though because it's not like having your own people like you said.
You need. In this field, to take care of St. Martin people or anybody, you have to be from here. Not that the others don't care, but St. Martin people are going to care much better for their own.
I'll tell you something, Dr. Petit. I've never seen you so happy.
With what?
I've never seen you so happy, man. The
I
smile
don't
on your face.
No, because I don't have the stress of the hospital on the Dutch side. That's why I left. And you asked me a question. I am very happy with what I'm doing now. Yeah. I am living again because I'm helping people every day in a social field. Having a big project of a big waterfront, that's fine. But helping one or two St. Martiners every day to settle a social issue is a joy for me. Just fixing up paperwork. Just giving them good advice. That's for me is a joy.
You shocked me when you said St. Martin is at number 3.
Yes,
as the
of the poorest country. And you know which country that is number 1 over France? It's only 20 miles away from here. St. Bart's is the richest French country.
Wow.
And France is the second. And we are third before the last.
Wow. So our ground or the road to it can't go down any further. We only could make it go up. And the way we are working, it is going to change. It is going to change. Just a story. There's a guy that I know very well. He retired. Retirement money is not enough for him to keep to rent his apartment. So he wants, and I know him very well. And he wants me to help him get a social apartment by what we call the Semsamar. So Alain Richardson is over that, and I know him very well. I call him, I say, Alain, what's the possibility of this gentleman getting an apartment? He told me, Michel, he has 2,000 names on a waiting list. Wow.
We have the lowest social possibilities for to live apartments.
Yeah.
And the French territories, maybe just the 2 that are below us. We need a lot of social things. So we have to change the zoning.
Is that what they call HLMs or something like that?
HLMs, yeah, but they even have, HLM, but you could have even more social. because you have to adapt your apartment to the possibilities of financial property. So if you do something upscale, it's not going to be within their reach. But you do something where they're gonna have a kitchen, they're gonna have lights, they're gonna have toilets, and instead of living in a van, they have people living under zinc. During the campaign, I went in French Quarter. They have people living in trucks, and these little buses.
Yeah, in St. Martin?
Yes.
Wow.
You would look at St. Martin and say, oh, rich, a lot of tourism. St. Martin has a lot of property, a lot of property. That's why we're number 3, because there's government agencies who just look at the criteria. They're not going to look how many cruise ships coming in Phillipsburg. I mean, I'll give you an example of how many. So they're looking at people's condition, access to a different. There are people living without current, and I have to sign papers for address, to make sure somebody lives there. So when the inspector goes to inspect for the address, he finds the address, but he puts in his report that they're living in a house where there's no running water. So just to give you the situation of St. Martin.
Wow.
So coming back to what Alan Richardson said, we have 2,000 to 3,000 people. They're looking for housing.
Same thing on the Dutch side.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, Dr. Billy, I have to go to a quick break, all right? When we come back, we're going to continue speaking with Dr. Petit, who is the Vice President for Social Affairs on French St. Martin. I'm Earl Gibbs, and you're listening to us on Hot 99.9 FM radio station. Right back after these words. Please stay with us.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/.
If you'd like to advertise on Hot 99.9 FM radio station, give us a call at 520-520-6070. That's 520-6070. Hot 99.9 FM radio station right here in St. Martin. And I'm Earl Gibbs here with Dr. Michel Petit. He's the Vice President for Social Affairs on French St. Martin, and it's a pleasure having him on the program. And I've never seen him so happy, smiling all the time. It tells us what surprised you most, Doctor, when you became a politician? What really struck you the most?
The slow pace of administration procedures. I mean, the slow pace that is resulting from the complex administration procedures to get things done. Don't forget, I'm coming from being a doctor. When I have to do something, I do it right away. Privately, when I want to do something, I do it right away. Administration is more complex. So that was the number one. I'm getting used to it, but I was depressed. I said, but we're never going to do nothing. But in fact, it's catching, and we'll have time to do everything, because we're going to win 2 elections. This one and the next one.
The next one is what, 4.5 years away, right?
A little bit, let's say 4 years, a little over 4 years.
Yeah. All right. And so when you look at St. Martin, because you walked on the Dutch side, what are the similarities you notice that are good and that are bad?
Between the two sides? Well, the problems are the same. The Dutch side have the possibility of a speedier process to get things done. Not saying that it's always done the right way, but the process is there. I don't like the electoral law on the Dutch side. They have to change that, because what's keeping back what I don't like on the Dutch side is the instability of government. And the day they're going to solve that, you're going to see a difference. So that's the biggest thing. On the French side, coming back, so what is bad is this slow administration. What is good right now, and that's why I'm smiling, because I'm seeing the way that we are going to be able to make a big difference. Even after our first 5 years, you're going to see a big difference. We just had, traffic on both sides is an issue. everybody always came up with projects, make plans and everything. But we had recently there, maybe a month and a half ago, the prefect with a few technicians walking on the site where to take the traffic from Grand Cars to Marigot. Mm-hmm. We just got money from France. I could venture and say about 10 million, maybe it's a little bit more, just for the studies to be done. So France is not going to give us money to study a project if they're not going to follow behind us, because it is an issue. It's right. Even a public health issues, because you have to remember that the lab who's processing, obviously that might change now, but and there's evacuation by plane and things like that. If you're stuck in the traffic between Grand Cross and Marigot a day when there's an accident, you have 3-4 hours blocked, and that happens many times a month. So that situation, the French government knows that this can't continue. It bothers everybody. So we have money to make the study. The head of the prefect who was representing France was on site, walking with the technicians. So they're serious. They're not going to give us money and go this far and then drop it. And we are behind them to make things happen.
I noticed from listening to you that you're really focusing on the social issues.
Well, that's my responsibility.
But are there other things that your party see that are urgent, that need to be done outside of the social issues?
Well, the traffic is number one.
Right.
Then we have to finally make a decision about the waterfront in Marigot. We're going to rebuild.
Any opinion on that?
Any opinion?
From you?
Well, the project was to be presented. It was canceled, mm-hmm. But before the end of the month, the project is going to come. I'm not saying it's going to be a new project. Mm-hmm. There's too many. There's about 4 of them, and every time they cost $500,000. Yeah. So we're not going to that exercise. We're using.
Well, ask it, hold your phone so it doesn't vibrate on the speaker.
Yes,
right. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
And so we're going to use existing and maybe make some modification, but we are not going into $500,000 worth of spending on a project. So that's going to be presented soon. We are building 2 high schools now. Obviously, they started from a while, but the high school, whichever government there, we have the responsibility of building, and the Ministry of Education in France manages the education. Mm. They would say we need this, so we have to build, because your schools can't have more than maybe 25 pupils in it, so there's a demand. So once the demand is made, the collectivity or the mayor, so it's not a project that belongs to any person. It's the island that needs schools. Yeah. So anybody, but we had some delays because the cost went up over 30%. You have to get back money, and we had but that started from after the hurricane, which agency, whether it's Europe, to bury all the electrical wires and all the other systems on the ground. It took a while, so that's almost finished. We have high-speed cables that going through, 10 mile project. Right. Those are projects that started before, but that's normal if you cannot, how you say that, stay 5 years and do nothing. So the things that are going to go over on the next government. But like the stadium, it's not everything that you left there that we are going to do. The stadium, we had to change it, because otherwise we'd build back a CONCACAF stadium, meaning still have to go to Anguilla. So now we took the project. Yes, it has to be done, but we took away their project and we're making another project.
What about the business community? What are they saying to you?
They're very happy. The number one thing we did, we quieted the social problems. The young people, we are giving them jobs. And what we're doing very good on projects, when you're going to bid on a project where the government is sponsoring it, there's a certain amount, and I don't want to go the amount, but it's a significant of unqualified and unemployed people that you have to take. Otherwise, the bid. If you don't put in what you're going to do, you're not getting the bid. It's an obligation. So this is helping a lot of people go back to work. We give to a lot of associations money to clean the island. You see the island is cleaner. We took up all the old cars. We finished we finished the lagoon cleaning. Could you imagine that the lagoon cleaning is with European or national funds, but nevertheless, the process to do it was mismanaged by the previous government. That's why it started very late. That's when the prefect intervened and said, look, I'm going to have to create a section of my area to assist the collectivity and how to get access to European money. We don't need that. That's finished. We just, like the president said, and I'm repeating myself, we just open up the closet and leave the local civil servants who have the knowledge do the job for us. And I'm repeating again, they're doing a great job. We're working. There's a lot of money in Europe available. You just have to know how to get it. And we have the know-how because we have St. Martin civil servants who are doing it for us.
So there are no longer many civil servants from Guadeloupe that are...
You're always going to get, because there's level of civil servants that it's not because you're from here that you're going to get a job for which you're not qualified. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But once the qualification is there, you are going to get the job. But it's taking time. What we're doing with the civil servants, we're bringing them up to par in terms of qualification. So whenever they come back and the job is opening, we are going to put them on a priority list.
Well, I just hope that you all do that and don't end up like the Dutch side, because the Dutch side said that in '94, and we're now in 2023, and it's just been horrible.
No, but we're doing it now because we already employ St. Martin people in big positions. We took them out of their closet because they're qualified to do something, and they couldn't fire them, but they put them in a,
They call it a twilight zone on the Dutch side, where they just put you away and...
yeah, but we revive them, and our success is their contribution. Believe me. You say behind a good man there's a good woman. Yeah. Well, behind a good collectivity doing things, you have good civil servants behind. You cannot do nothing if your civil servants don't follow you. And they're happy to work with us. We recognize their values, we respect each other, and we live very well together. That's the number one. And we are cooperating with the state. Cooperating.
I'm curious, and as you speak here, do you have an idea how many civil servants are employed in French St. Martin? Approximately? Any idea?
I'm going to leave myself, going to say over 1,000, maybe 1,200.
Similar to the Dutch side, in a way,
yeah.
Now, before 1995, the government of Dutch St. Martin was not the largest employer. That was Mullet Bay in the whole hotel sector.
But they were the biggest employer of the French side too, probably.
Yeah, now it's both.
Yeah.
I see so many similarities between both French and Dutch side. What about cooperation, government cooperation?
With the entity there on the southern side, we had some meetings, but it's going to be limited because you have an election coming up soon. But we are working. I'm glad that I'm hearing that and I think in November, they're going to settle the border issue between France, Holland, and both sides of the island.
Long overdue.
Long overdue, but that's the administration. Cooperation, real cooperation. I think we have a project right here in the lagoon with
sewage.
With sewage.
It's not moving. Is it going to move soon?
I think it's not dead. It's we had a presentation where this thing's still happening. We have a project which I think is already working. The weather radar.
Yeah.
I think there's a joint project.
That's affecting me with this radio station right now, because our transmitter is at that site. Mm-hmm. And the radar tower was built, but it was not built properly. So it's shaking. So I hope they fix that soon. That's not your problem.
That's not my problem. But that's a joint venture. What I would like to see is a garbage collection. One project, because
that would be beautiful.
I don't see this project in the center of Philipsburg, one of the tourism capital of the West Indies, where you have one of the biggest dumps too of the Caribbean. We have our issues there on the French side, but not of that magnitude. We have a good location. We are not too happy with the management now, and we're looking into it. We are not too happy with the airport, because the airport is not encouraging regional traffic.
Why?
That's what we're looking into. Basically, you have 3 airlines that you have 2 from Guadeloupe and 1 from St. Bart's with a few. We're going nowhere. Activity cannot
Is it
build up.
because they need to expand the runway?
No, even with what we have now, I think it was the last government, but sorry if it was before that, but the project to expand at least 500-600 meters was abandoned. I think we're looking to revive it because that's going to make the comfort for the airlines with an extended. And then, for example, the plane, the 70-seater ATR doesn't leave with full load just because of the restriction. So the airport, we have to look into it. The port, we're looking into it too. There's something that's going to happen at the port too, the waterfront. And if you notice now, the waterfront, we organize not to destroy, let every boat have their anchor. If you look good, you're going to see we have moorage facilities in line.
Yeah.
You come in, you have to hook to it. And I'm not sure, but we're trying to see if you hook to it, you have to pay a tax because these people are living there. And St. Bart's is very expensive. I mean, they make a lot of money. So we're looking if you want to hook there and you want to benefit, come and go profit of the island and thing, and that's free. No.
It's better that way because when you drop anchor, you destroy it.
Okay, but that point, yeah, but these people are living there free too, and they have to participate. Huh?
Yeah.
They have to participate. Their waste that goes in our ocean.
Have all the issues with the families surrounding the Grand Cross Airport been resolved? Or?
Well, they only had one family, yes, that's been
Lawrence
resolved.
family,
Yes, that was resolved. So there's nothing, it's just a decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the issue I heard about the waterfront is that Marigot, the harbor, is a lot shallower than the Dutch side.
Yes, that's for sure.
So you will never be able to get huge ships.
No, not huge ships, but we're not looking for that market. No sense of having huge ships or 2 airports of international airports. No, we have a Airbus 330 landing in Grand Cars and one, and it doesn't make no sense. Yeah. Because in fact, if you want to just look at the land that's available to make a strip in Grand Cars, you could get 4 or 5 kilometers if you want, but that's not the issue. But you need to get a little bit more regional, and we could tap into the how you say that, jets, the private jets, because there's good money. Anguilla is doing it, St. Kitts is doing it, the Dutch side is doing it, but they can't accommodate everybody, and from here they're going to St. Kitts or they're going to Anguilla just to stay over.
And we're close to stop right there.
Yeah, but we're working into that. There's something happening there now, and that should be resolved the next couple of weeks.
Because with the airport in its current stage, they can handle private jets.
Oh, there, yes. Matter of fact, there's a few, but not to talk about. We want to make it really more, bring in more income to the island.
So there are 5 vice presidents or 4?
No, 4.
4?
There's a president and 5 vice presidents, and that's the executive council. We meet once a week. And Island Council, which is all the members, they used to meet every 2 or 3 months. Now we change it. We're meeting once a month. I mean, we might have once it get canceled, but the plan is to have once a month. Yeah. We have less issues because we debate a lot. The last meeting started around 9:30, ended almost 6 o'clock. So we try to have a lot more meetings, that we have less points, and that it remains a reasonable time between 4 and 6 hours instead of being 10 hours.
I know you're a new politician, but and you said earlier what you don't like about the Dutch side electoral laws, right? But a member of parliament receives around $10,000 a month. A minister around $11,000-12,000. How is it on the French side?
Well, after taxes, and I'm the equivalent of a minister, it's 2,272 euros.
You're on the wrong side, doctor?
Huh?
You're on the wrong
I should have taken my Dutch passport then and run on the Dutch side. Well, no.
It's a big difference.
Big difference. We are not there to. It's a compensation for. But in fact, we are civil servants. We are serving. We are there. The others too. But I mean, they're compensated, so that's a real job. Because I wouldn't be able to be a doctor and doing what I'm doing. So being a doctor, I had a decent salary, and if I'd become a minister, vice president, I would go from very decent income to practically nothing.
Yeah.
So when you go there, you really become a servant of the people.
Right.
You're not going there. A president, maybe 500 euros, but a president don't make $5,000.
Yeah, I heard it's in that range.
Yeah.
No, it's quite interesting to see the difference.
Yeah, very big difference. Yeah.
And so, what else you have planned that you want to share with us, or it's too early to tell us?
Personally, I announced it during the campaign. It's a little delay, but I understand why. I am giving the collectivité 10,100 square meters of my property to build a old age home, to take them out of Marigot where there's no parking. At least our elders are going to be
That's
living
in Hope Estate?
a little next to the slaughterhouse. Well, not next to it, but in that area. Well, it's not Hope Estate, but it's in that area.
Oh.
It just, there's a way called Cuisine Centrale where they have, how you say that, the cooking, the central kitchen.
I know that. Yeah.
Continue, and there's a few buildings, and now it's in the land behind. It goes up a little bit. It's very quiet. It has a nice view. It's
very generous here.
So have other gifts to do, because I have to see. I can't do nothing with it. And personally, I have some construction I'm going to do. So I'm very, I have stores too. Huh?
Right.
I have stores now for years. When I travel, I buy clothes for men and women. So I'm not, and I still go out, meet my friends at control band. So,
I'm laughing, you know why? I remember the night when my first daughter was born.
Yeah.
And you delivered her. We went to the discotheque in Mullaby at the hillside.
I did that all my life, and I'm doing it now as a politician. Saturday night I was out. My life goes on. That's why I'm balanced in my head,
Yeah.
Everybody knows me. What you see is what you get.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how people see you and how people speak about you.
Yeah.
And people were so happy that you got involved.
But I'm very close to people. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm very close to people. I guess I was gifted for that. I know how to deal with them. But I know how to cuss them off too. Huh? Because some people will tell you I'm not easy with my bad words. Huh? You could get some good few from me too.
I don't see your brother, Francois. He was also a medical doctor.
Yeah.
He's still on the island?
No, he doesn't practice that for many years now.
No, but is he still on the island, or he?
No, he's on the island. He's on the island. Well, he has activities that takes him off island, but officially he's still on the island.
So everything is great, and we're looking forward to great things on St. Martin Friends Island.
Yes, for sure. And I'm going to repeat what I said.
Yeah.
In 10 years, with this first election and the second one, we're going to do a lot. Because nobody is going to take us out with what we're doing. I would bet anybody to find a candidate with all what we're going to do in 5 years to take us out of power, to get back what we had before. Yeah. There's nobody is going to do that. Not even the Europeans that loves us now. We get so many compliments. Because the first thing we did for them is the social tension. You have to remember
that was
last
the
year.
Problem, yeah.
I mean, they fire at gendarmes. They had fires all over.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say fire bullets, huh?
Yeah.
They had all over. Now, we're taking care of the people. We're listening to them, and we're helping them. And as long as we do that, we are not going to get any problem because we're close to them, and we're solving their problem. We have people posted in the classroom and in the schools. Not in all the schools yet, but in a lot of them. Their job is to just speak with the students and just exchange with them to get from them what are their concerns from that age.
Very good.
And they are paid by and they just question and they report to us these things going on. So we're trying to settle problems before they happen.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Petit, I want to thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
My guest. Great having you. Never saw you so happy before.
Well, when you're doing a good job and people appreciate what you're doing, makes you happy.
Anything else you want to say to the people of St. Martin?
Well, thanks for putting me in office, and I hope that your St. Martin people are enjoying our work, And personally, I don't have no problem people stopping me in the street, which they are doing now, and asking me to help them out with a problem. And I'm doing that with a lot of pleasure. Like I said, big projects or something, but daily solving of people's problems is a big something. If you solve 5, 6 per week, you're going to solve a lot.
Well, Dr. Petit, I want to thank you for being
You're
my
welcome.
guest, and I hope we can have you back sometime in the near future on Hot 99.9 FM radio, right?
Yes, when a lot of the projects are going to come,
All right, good.
I'll be happy to be
Thanks
back.
again.
You're welcome.
And that's it for now. See you next time. Until then, take care. Bye.